Oseo.
Oseo.
It's a Cherokee greeting. Wave the great feather for the good of it. Today my theme is going to be Medusa, Perseus, and Pegasus. These are all in ancient Greece. And I'm going to do a reading, first of all, of a poem by Michael McClure. And just to mention that, I was one of the students of Michael McClure in a college in Berkeley, and I really respect that I had that great opportunity to be there in his class with him. It has benefited me greatly. So it's going to be about Greece. The title of his poems is actually the fragments of Perseus, which is like he's reading an imaginary journal to Medusa. Before we get there, I'll say a little bit more about ancient Greece to help out people's recollection and perception of ancient Greece. A couple weeks ago I was introducing the astrology, so to say that ancient Greece would be astrological. That would put it pretty simple. It is very complex. It definitely has layers and layers of that. The oracle centers, there were over 50 of them. The early main ones, first of all, would be Delphi. Most people have heard of that, sort of northwest of Athens. And then there was Delos in the South Aegean Sea, a small island that was also the island of Apollo and Artemis. And they go all the way up to northern Epirus, and that's definitely in Greece, and that was Dodona, and over to Asia Minor, Sardis. So that was the main ones. Now imagine spider webs, the round radiating kind. So each of these oracles would look like a spider web with the radiations going out, and that within these radiations we would imagine the zodiac as we know it today. The zodiac came into Greece, it appears in around the 8th century BCE. But before that there still was sidereal knowledge. The stars of the first magnitude were definitely recognized. The progression of the equinoxes was recognized, and the solstices, So a lot of these things stayed steady even though other changes came into the system. And some of these also overlap. So there's changes going on, so I would call it a metashi. That is, all the system is a changing arrangement of relations and meanings. And that's the emphasis that I'm using here in talking about the famous Medusa, usually rendered as a monstrous looking woman with snakes for hair kind of thing. But there really is a lot more to it than that. And to understand also, since our English renderings, has these words gods and goddesses. In view of the way those words are used and thought of in meaning, I would say we would be in the wrong translation there. In ancient Greece, we have a word theos. Theos is the word that's being translated into God, and into English. But that seems to me off the track, as I often find in these translation. Tathemi means I put, I place. It's very similar to the English do, to set down, like that. And to see this fantastic, amazing arrangement of the ancient world with its alignments, its sanctuaries, its temples, and its figures in all of this. The word hero. Hero, first of all, as far as early as that I know, is that she's a priestess of Aphrodite. But in Ovid, that's the Roman poet of a little more than 2,000 years ago, the Heroistides would seem to be another usage of this word hero. So the way we understand heroes, these are really the original, what's later being called gods. And the heroines are what we're being calling the goddesses. So these very different meanings than what the English word God means and the way that it's used. The figures that we know from art, the statuary, and the stone temples, these things, began being produced, 6th, 7th century BCE and so forth. These were not exactly worshipped the way deities are worshipped other places, like in India. It's also was the time when these stone temples were now being made. All of these things are alignments, and they are alignments, in an astrological way. And it has more to do with civic pride than it does have to do with religion. And the figures are more ideals of human types, both the way that they act and the way they look. So I really have no idea that these things, people, goddesses and all that were worshipped the way they are in other places. So more of that kind of figure. So, and in Michael McClure's poem that I'm going to do some reading from, he seems to have a good sense of this, of what I'm telling you. And his poem would really deserve an in a classroom study of all the meanings that he has in his poem here. And so I'm going to kind of start out with pointing out up here, many artists have done renditions for Medusa. I put this together for Medusa. And coincidentally today at the Mission Trails Nature Center, I met a woman, Lexi, a very vivacious, intelligent young woman, and she had hair, and I told her, your hair reminds me of Medusa that I'm going to talk about today. So maybe she'll get to watch this talk and know that I remember her here. So that's my rendering here. Down here, this is my drawing. This would be the classical look of Medusa in sculpture and illustrations. It really a little bit varies as to what the head of Medusa is. Mostly it's a prophylactic mask. That's what this is, and that's pretty important to understand in terms of what happens about this. I'll tell you a little more about it in a minute. And here is my portrait of Perseus here. Perseus is certainly from a very early age, certainly I think age before people wore helmets. And so this is my rendering of Perseus, and he's a Leo. Everything about him is Leo. He's from Argolis in the eastern Peloponnese, and that's in Leo. So everything about Perseus is Leo and of Leo. And Leo is also opposed to Aquarius, and Pegasus will be in that. And then to go over here and look at this here, this is Medusa in her natural look. She is a beautiful woman. She's also known to be the queen of North Africa. All of North Africa was named Libya by the Greeks. And this that I have copied here is still, and it's a photo that I saw existent of, this is amazing, done in the 4th century. It's a mosaic in an estate that's in Sicily, but it's North African. It's made by North Africans, and it is depicting the North African queen. Now the Gorgons and Athena, all of these legendary women are from Libya, North Africa. And so this is a wonderful portrait of Medusa, and that she is the queen of North Africa, and what changes in her here. So that's the sort of thing that we're going to begin with here, and then I'll do a reading here, and we will talk a little bit more about the other things here. Fragments of Perseus. Medusa, I search for you in dreams, inside of dreams. You are the horror of my mind, but breath within my body and made into flesh. Making love to you was like drinking cold water. The deer, now dead, I place upon the stone floor. He is my brother, even though I killed him. Ice snaps from his belt and melts into water on that stone floor. I saw a lion lay down in the snow while an eagle soared over the cliffs above the river of Alpheus. The image of your face is out there, frozen in the ice like a tiny sculpture, where the water melts at the snowbake's base. The wet snow that would be your hair is in the ripples like moving snakes would be. And when, in the form of golden rain, Zeus fell upon my mother, Danae, within a shower of gold, I was conceived. And you snake hair, still imprisoned in not remembering, while my muscles become a pained and perfect memory. I see the dead deer upon the stone floor, a lion playing in the snow. Life is a remembrance that has taken to dancing. Medusa, they do not speak of your children. I try not to look at them. I was not their father. Like you, snake hair, they are so beautiful, they hurt the eyes. But I told them that I killed you. Then I returned to the power of invisibility with my cap of blackness. I took off my wing sandals, and I returned the goatskin bag to the Stygian nymphs that once held your head, Medusa. But am I turned to stone because I did not say goodbye to you? I feel eternally that your departure was not complete. Am I caught between deeds in the past and actions in the future? How much, if anything, is really ever sealed? Apparently, I dream about these things over and over, and they become dreams inside of dreams, like you, Medusa. And I kind of carry this theme across here. Let me point out this illustration here. I've copied this from a bronze vase that was from Thebes, there in Boeotia, very amazingly. And because it illustrates something, first of all, it's very unusual. This is Medusa, and part of her is a horse. And here is Perseus. He's poised with his sword to sever her, and he's looking away. since the myth is that if he looked at her, he would be turned into stone. And here he's carrying the goatskin bag. This is very important to understand what's going on here. And here, this horse part of her. Now, one way of looking at this is that the horse is Aquarius. This is Leo and Aquarius. But it also has something more to do with Medusa and Poseidon. And up here, this is also a version of a Gorgon mask. Now, I should say at this point, the Gorgons, everything in North Africa are the three sisters, the three of anything. They're always a threesome. Ireland is named the same way, the Uranus. And so of the three Gorgons, Gorgon by a word just seems to mean, something terrible like that. Where Medusa, as in Greek, is guardian. The feminist writer says guardian of woman's mysteries. So that definitely figures in all of this. And Medusa, of the three Gorgons, is the one who is actually a woman, a mortal woman here. And this is really astrological. What's happening is that as the zodiac is coming into, I would call it a new phase, and certain figures or characters that are in these houses are changing. And in this one, the house of Virgo, which is one of the most important in the zodiac of the houses here, is that it's being changed. What Perseus is doing, he is removing the Gorgon from the house of Virgo to be supplanted by Athena. So in the course of that, he has been given this goat skin bag. Now the goat skin comes from Almathea, kind of like calling her the goat goddess, from whence, in a different story, the golden fleece issued out. But it wasn't the golden fleece, it was the aegis, the goat skin. And that means that what he's going to do here, he's taking off her head or her mask, and he's putting it in this goatskin bag, and he's going to take it to Athena, where Athena will, after that, wear it as her breastplate. In other words, she will wear a goatskin, that's called the aegis, with the face or the mask of the Gorgon, right there. So that's the sort of thing that's going on there. And a clue for this is, here's a little lizard. Now consistently, this lizard, wherever it appears in any of these vase illustrations, is the symbol for Hydra. Hydra is a constellation, and in that constellation it was originally the place of the pole star. So at the very least, the presence of the Hydra is telling us this is astrological. All this is astrological. It's really a shift of the guardian of Virgo into Athena. That's the way all of that is being illustrated here. Above here, this is a photo of me in Vivian's classroom in Nevada, where I was giving to her elementary school students a story about Epona. Now, I've been a horse person from childhood, and that's how I learned how to draw. And so here's a picture of me, and here's my drawing on the classroom board of the horse Epona. So I brought that in here because the horse is a part of this. And you can come down here to this little figure. These little figures, there's a kind of like a minor culture going on in ancient Greece of making metal figures of different kind of metals, and they were somehow used in these temples, shrines, sanctuaries, and so forth. And being metal, they have survived, and I'll show you some other ones. So that's part of this, the horse, coming in here. This probably is from the Peloponnese, could even be from Sparta. There are definitely a number of shrines or temples for horses in the Peloponnese, and so forth there. Part of the story is that when Perseus severs Medusa's head, blood spurts out. And this blood, definitely thereafter is sacred. But one of the main things that comes out of her is Pegasus. Here's my drawing of the Pegasus, and here is a figure of Pegasus called the winged horse. Now, the horse, who is also called Arion as horse, and Pegasus as the winged horse, is in the house of Aquarius, which is like kind of the north and east from Delphi, for instance. And it is an air sign because of his wings. Pretty much, it figures that way. Now, if you can go all the way over there to my drawing on this subject. This is my drawing. This is going to be told to you that this is Medusa. But what's happening with Medusa, if you look to the far right of it, if you can make it out, here is a face in here. This is Poseidon. And Poseidon is, we'll call it the horse god. That is that he creates the horse. He's the creator of horse, Poseidon. And he's looking at this beautiful woman, Medusa, and in her he sees the horse. He sees the mare horse. And here she's holding up her hoof, and on it, this is a red-headed woodpecker. And birds are notorious for telling you things, oracles or prophecies or whatever. So this is the embryonic form of Pegasus telling Medusa, as the horse to be, that she is pregnant with him. So that it turns out when Perseus severs her head or her mask like that, she was already pregnant with Pegasus. And also, I forgot to say, we go up here and look again. This is a coral necklace. In India, much of this has still managed to survive. Maybe the names have changed, but definitely the coral necklace means this is the blood of Medusa. So anybody out there that wants to be recognized in this story of Medusa, you can have a coral necklace of her here. Now, here in this story, these beings are mixed together. The Gorgons, Medusa, and Athena, and Lamia. All of these are all mixed together. You could say they are all the same thing, one way or another. Now, Perseus was given this goatskin bag to reverently carry the mask or the head of Medusa over to Athena. This is in respect. This is actually a shift taking place within the sign and the house of Virgo. And where the Gorgon continues to this day to be is the owl of Athena. This owl here does come from there, and this owl is the Gorgon or Medusa. And here, this is a figure of Athena with a shield. Again, as far as I know, these metal pieces were somehow offerings in the respective temple. So this is Athena. It looks very archaic. And in this one, her shield is the owl, the Gorgon is the owl there. And above it, I also have a clip that looks very old. It's written in Greek for the owl. Athena's owl is the symbol of Athens and is the Gorgon on the Aegis. And for my part in that, I'm putting here my painting. This is my painting to stand for the same thing. This is the owl, the Gorgon of Athena. I think that everything that I have rendered here can give you a sufficient idea of this. Oh yes, I do have one over here. Now here you have a horseshoe. Lexus told me today that she was very fond of horses. I was too when I was a young boy like that. So the horseshoe is, for a long time, we call it a yoni symbol. And in this one that I put together, I used this as a mask and her radiating hair and the red, because for Medusa, the horseshoe is also Pegasus. So that's my composition here for all that. Glad you reminded me of that. Now I read Perseus again. That was fragments as from an imaginary journal, and that was in the first person of Perseus to Medusa. Now I'm going to end this with Claudia coming up here, and she's going to do a reading from a woman poet that is in the first person of Medusa. So we're going to have her come up here, and I'm going to stand aside.
I'm honored to be back here reading for Medusa, a poem by Carol Ann Duffy. A suspicion, a doubt, a jealousy grew in my mind, which turned the hairs on my head to filthy snakes, as though my thoughts hissed and spat on my scalp. My bride's breath soured, stank in the gray bags of my lungs. I'm foul-mouthed now, foul-tongued, yellow-fanged. There are bullet tears in my eyes. Are you terrified? Be terrified. It's you I love, perfect man, Greek god, my own. But I know you'll go, betray me, stray from home. So better by far for me if you were stone. I glanced at a buzzing bee. A dull gray pebble fell to the ground. I glanced at a singing bird. A handful of dusty gravel spattered down. I looked at a ginger cat. A house brick shattered a bowl of milk. I looked at a snuffling pig. A boulder rolled in a heap of shit. I stared in the mirror. Love gone bad showed me a gorgon. I stared at a dragon. Fire spewed from the mouth of a mountain. And here you come, with a shield for a heart, and a sword for a tongue. And your girls. Wasn't I beautiful? Wasn't I fragrant and young? Look at me now. Thank you.